uncut.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Campbell.
Here.
Dempsey.
Here.
Hill.
Here.
Menser.
Here.
Raker.
Here.
I need a motion to excuse Commissioner Flash and Commissioner Button.
So move.
Second. Roll call, please.
Dempsey.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
Raker.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Announcements, acknowledgements, communications, and reports. Do we have any this evening?
The Beautification Commission will be meeting on Tuesday, July 7th at 7 p.m. The Historical Commission will meet on Tuesday, July 14th at 7 p.m. The Planning Commission will meet on Tuesday, July 7th at 7 p.m. Those meetings will all be held here at City Hall. And the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting scheduled for Tuesday, July 7th has been canceled.
Anyone else? All right. Which meetings are July 7th? Adoption of the agenda.
I move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Support. That's amended.
Well, amended
Oh, is it
agenda.
amended? I'm sorry.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Hill.
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
Raker.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Dempsey.
Yes. Public participation, this is the time you may address this body. All we ask is that you give us your name, residential address, and that you adhere to our 3-minute rule. So whoever would like to come forth.
Laura Fournier, 70 Ludwig Street, Mount Clemens. I would like an update on the sidewalk issue. Haven't seen any action, but last week my daughter-in-law was walking back from Olympia. She took Maross because when she takes Cass, she lives in South Wilson, cat calls from our good established rooming houses drive her nuts. So she decided to take Maross, where she wiped out bad. I have pictures and I have a witness. Her elbows, her knees, her hip. The only thank God is she didn't hit her head. These sidewalks are a menace. I complained about one over at Queen and Leslie over 9 months ago. Nothing. They're going to really, really hurt somebody someday. We need to do something about this problem.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Administrative, we can have any.
I did have a couple items, yes.
Administrative responses to issues or questions raised during previous meetings.
At a prior commission meeting, and a citizen had inquired about how the city addresses complaints regarding early placement of trash at the curb on either before collection day or otherwise. Residents are prohibited from placing garbage at collection points prior to 6 p.m. on the day before your collection day. The Department of Public Services and Community Development work together to address reported issues and achieve compliance, which is the primary goal of the efforts of the city. Enforcement activity can include warnings and or DPS collection of the garbage and charging of costs for same to the homeowner or property owner. This is another area where the City Commission could evaluate a shift to a civil infraction classification, which would allow for issuance of tickets and more immediate action on an issue like that. So that's a general update on that question that was raised. Second question by the same resident inquired about fireworks enforcement, which was pretty timely given the weekend that just passed. This is not an enforcement issue which had been addressed previously by the city. Legislation on fireworks at the state has created a real issue for municipalities and law enforcement agencies, which they continue to struggle with. Frankly, enforcement is difficult in these situations. Basically, you have to see somebody with a match in their hand putting it to a firework in order to really have any real hope of having anything happen in terms of any code enforcement that would be pursued by the Sheriff's Department. So that's been an ongoing issue. I've had calls over the weekend about the same issue in terms of complaints about fireworks. Worked with the Sheriff's Department to talk with them about those issues as they were brought up and to ask them to take some efforts to address that with additional patrols or anything like that. If there's an update from anybody about the experiences over the weekend, we'd be happy to talk with the Sheriff's Department afterwards about how that went or didn't go in an effort to refine the approach to maximize the benefit of the local fireworks ordinance that we have as well as the state law, Public Act 256. So those are the only two items that I had for this evening, Your Honor.
Commissioner Menser?
Would you please tell our residents who they call to complain about the early placement of garbage at the curb?
I would advocate calling, as I said, it's kind of a joint effort between the Department of Public Services and Community Development, and I'd call DPS the lead on that, so I'd contact Public Services.
And just so people know, Representative Henry Yanez has a bill in front of the House right now to repeal the bill that Schneider signed for fireworks, allowing them 3 days before and 3 days after. So if you really take issue with this, please contact Henry Yanez and let him know, so he knows he has support in repealing that.
It's actually day before, day of, and day after the 3 days of the holidays. Day before, day of, and day after.
Thank you.
But we amended it again last year because the state amended, after the first year's disaster, the state amended the State Act to allow local municipalities to, on those 3 days, restrict
Hours.
from midnight to 8 p.m. Prior to that, the year before, the municipalities were not allowed to restrict anything. So they could shoot them off, you know, at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning on those 3 days.
Just quick, midnight to 8 a.m.
Right.
Something like 11.
There is some noise ordinance interaction that can happen after 11 o'clock.
And the issue that you were referring to was taken care of. They had no problems that night.
Good. Glad to hear that.
I'm glad to hear that that went well.
I appreciate the efforts of the Sheriff's Department to take care of that.
Approval of the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes as presented. Support.
Roll call.
Menser,
Yes.
Raker,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Dempsey,
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Okay, general business, 9A. We have a presentation and approval of the strategic plan as facilitated by Southeastern Michigan Council of Governments, SIMCOG. I need a motion.
Move to approve and adopt the strategic plan as facilitated by the Southeast Michigan Council of Governments.
Second.
The Southeast Michigan Council of Governments, or SEMCOG, through Nahid Huck and Trevor Layton, has facilitated the development of a strategic plan for the city. This service was provided at no charge as a benefit of SEMCOG membership. City Commission held a series of work sessions to develop this plan. The City Commission subsequently received the draft plan and provided feedback at a couple of different stages on same to SEMCOG. At your meeting of July 6th of today, SEMCOG is making a presentation on the strategic plan for your consideration.
Okay.
Takes a moment to follow.
Well, good evening. Thank you for letting us be part of the commission meeting tonight. We're glad to be here. So I'm Nahid Haq, and I'm accompanied by Trevor Layton, my co-facilitator. Trevor and I are going to present a short summary of the City of Mount Clemens strategic plan, a copy of which is in front of you. Before we begin, we want to say a few words about SAMCOG services and opportunities for our elected officials and appointed officials to participate in SAMCOG activities. So Trevor's going to spend a few minutes with that.
Good evening. So strategic planning is one of the services we offer to members. For example, we also provide walkability and bikeability audits. As both Southeast Michigan's Council of Governments and its Metropolitan Planning Agency, SEMCOG creates a regional forecast and plans for transportation, environment, and community and economic development. These major initiatives are adopted by SEMCOG's General Assembly. Your representatives on this body are Commissioners Rieker and Menser. However, we encourage all of you to get involved with SEMCOG by attending our General Assembly meetings, as well as workshops and committee and task force meetings, which we hold on key regional issues. Next week, we're holding 2 forums, one on talent, the other on business climate, to get input for our economic development strategy. We'd be happy to send you more details if you're interested. Much of the demographic and economic data in the final report we present today is available on our website in a section called Community Profiles. Our staff will happily provide assistance to you with data analysis and maps. And please look to our new website for more information as well as a full range of services, and always feel free to contact Nahid or myself with any questions, and we'll be happy to point you in the right direction. This slide shows an example of the very front page of City of Mount Clemens community profile. It's a little fuzzy, but there's a section called People, one called Economy and Jobs, Housing, Transportation, and then Environment and Land Use. Okay, so today we'll begin by going over the highlights of a strategic plan, but also provide a little background on how we got here. This includes the process for identifying priorities, as well as some regional trends and local strengths that provide a context to the city's plan. So, first of all, what is a strategic plan? As you can see, it's a management tool that helps an organization do a better job by focusing energy, resources, and time in the same direction. So this is a tool we've been working with you to help you develop something to get everyone onto the same page. By assisting city leaders, the mayor and commission, identifying priorities in the context of regional trends, local budgets, community needs, and opportunities, the strategic plan is able to provide a framework for focused action. The plan does not provide all the answers to every challenge, but is a strategy for addressing the highest priorities as identified by the mayor and city commission for strengthening the future of the city. City of Mount Clemens, like all communities, is impacted by regional challenges such as reduced revenues, declining school-age population, aging population, and economic restructuring. But the community is in a good position to recover and grow as the regional and state economy grows. We're now going to look at some key regional trends. Southeast Michigan is made up of 7 counties: Wayne, Oakland, Macomb, Monroe, Washtenaw, Livingston, and St. Clair. This region has about half the population of the state and a large portion of the economic development and jobs. Our region is finally starting to add population. In the last 3 years, there has been an increase of 35,000, which is a pleasant surprise when compared with our forecast, which had it going down for a few more years. However, we did lose 128,000 from 2000 to 2010, so we've only recovered 28%. That decline. Our economy is changing. Our staple manufacturing industry, especially automotive, is on a trajectory to continue declining as a percentage of our economy, even though it is going through a mini boom right now. The high growth industries are professional and technical services and healthcare. Post-secondary education will also increase, and Mount Clemens has benefited from the addition of Oakland University Macomb right here downtown. Per capita income is also back on the rise. Between 2000 and 2010, per capita income fell 15%, or $4,700 in Southeast Michigan. However, in Mount Clemens, income fell by 24%, or $17,000. The regional per capita income is starting to increase at a higher rate than the nation. With good planning, Mount Clemens can see similar growth. The region is aging, and Mount Clemens is no exception. By 2040, 1 in 4 people in Southeast Michigan will be above the age of 65. The working age population will continue to decline, which will create labor shortage issues. We need to educate and keep our workers in the state. How can Mount Clemens use its assets to help do this?
So we provided that information in terms of regional trends as a background because you've seen the information before, And we know that as we developed the ideas and you brainstormed on the different strengths and weaknesses of the community, remembering what's going on in the broader community makes a difference to what's really available, especially if the state's not doing well or certain businesses or industries aren't doing well. It's going to impact the city as well. So that's an important part of understanding where we start off from. So the strategic planning process was really about understanding what the opportunities and the opportunities are for the city to build on its strengths. At the same time, we have to address the challenges, because without that, we sort of don't take the whole picture. We need to look at the whole picture in order to figure out, okay, what are the key elements or issues that need to be addressed? And some of the challenges can really prevent you taking advantage of the opportunities. Also, the planning process was to develop a framework for the future. It's not a be-all and end-all of everything. The strategic planning really is focused on a few issues, really identifying what collectively you thought was really important. There are so many things that need to be done, but not everything can be done through a strategic planning process. I mean, there are many other things that have to be done for to meet federal and state regulations, and those will continue to be done. But by identifying really prioritized goals that you all have in common, or you've developed in common, that makes it more likely to happen. But so we've really identified a few things that you as the leadership of the community can be working on. It's also a collaborative effort. One, it has to have consensus from the commission, the mayor and commission, and also in conjunction with the department heads, but also there are partners that also have a role. So strategic planning, the goals and the priorities that are identified need to be recognized in terms of there are broad issues that you can find partners to help you with. Having resources from your partners, having expertise from your partners will help make this more of a actual implementable project. So the process, we went through, as City Manager Steve Brown mentioned, we went through a process of a couple of evening workshops with the commission and this department heads. We also went through, looked around the community, we took pictures, we tried to understand something about the background, and then so you came together, worked hard, sort of listened, thought really hard, and then sort of documented all the ideas. So, I mean, you all have to work hard. And so one of the things that we want to make sure that you do, we did as part of our service, was to make sure that we were able to meet your goals, because you all identified what you wanted to get out of the process, and we wanted to make sure that you were able to get the things that you wanted out of it. So in terms of the personal goals for the strategic plan, we asked you early on, what is it that you want to do? And luckily there was quite a lot of consensus in terms of what you all wanted to get. You identified reaching common SMART goals, identifying and clarifying priorities, and creating a plan to move the plan forward. So all of these things, hopefully, we've done through this process. And so each commissioner also had the opportunity to identify what they valued most about the community. We also asked you what you thought your residents valued. And we went through several processes and exercises, and we came out with these top 7. So definitely throughout the conversation, the things that really rose to the top were the neighborhoods, the housing, the downtown, services, the history of the community, people, and the atmosphere. All of these things were recognized throughout the exercises that we did. And so really a lot of the work that you did and the priorities that you identified were based on these values. But we also sort of put these together and developed a mission statement. You've had a mission statement for some time, and it was a very long mission statement. We sort of put this together collectively. Through your input, we developed a new mission statement, which is much shorter, but it gets to all of those things that you mentioned in the values. So the City of Mount Clemens is dedicated to providing excellent leadership and municipal services that enhance the quality of life for our diverse community, preserving our history and great neighborhoods. So again, the history, the neighborhoods, services, all of these things that you identified in your values ended up in the mission statement. And I think that's a very important part of how much time you spend on the process, making sure that you have a mission statement that really meets your needs and reflects your priorities is key to a successful strategic plan. We also through various exercises, you identified sort of key strengths and assets that the community has. The waterfront is important. The quality housing stock and very diverse housing stock, services, quality of life, history and culture, diversity. These are all, these were the values, but these are also the strengths of the community. And really, it makes sense to focus on these as you develop priorities. So just to look at some of the strengths: quality of life, diverse housing stock, historic buildings, historic homes, parks, the riverfront. All of these are real quality of life features that some communities have, but many communities don't. So these are things that you can really focus on. They're things to be proud of, and they certainly make the community more unique. Another strength is the county seat. The county seat, being the county seat, gives you options, opportunities. For example, the businesses or offices that develop as a result of being close to the county seat. You've got the courthouse, you've got various other buildings that, that make the city so important and a focal point for the whole county. At the same time, you've also got City Hall, right, very close to the county building, and people come here for building permits, for sort of meeting with the community, making sure that they're getting the services they want. So I think the county seat's important, but the location is what's really important, that connection between the two. Also, you've got a very strong traditional downtown, maybe going through some challenges right now, but certainly the basis is there. You've got the historic buildings, you've got sort of community art, you've got sort of modern sort of features. All of these make the community unique. And I think we'll keep going back to the point that this is a city that has a unique history, it has unique features, it has a unique location. All of these are strengths that really can be built on. So in terms of opportunities, sort of the strengths really are the basis of the opportunities. But at the same time, there are also things, they provide economic development opportunities. They allow you to really focus on the quality of life. And again, collaboration, I put that up there because collaboration is really key to the implementation. That gives you additional resources, expertise, and opportunities. So in terms of the priority goals, there were 5 priority goals that came out of this process. And these are marketing the community assets to attract residents and businesses, redeveloping the city's riverfront property, reinvigorating the historic mineral baths industry, revitalizing the city's historic downtown, and stabilizing and enhancing neighborhoods. You see the bold words. It goes back to the assets. There's, keep going back to what you value about the community, what are the strengths that make the community different and provide opportunities. So we'll go briefly through some of these goals with a little bit more information. You have the details in your report, but I just wanted to give a little bit of a highlight over some of these. So, for example, the marketing community assets to attract both residents and businesses by aggressively marketing the city assets. I mean, this is important because sometimes people in the community, certainly outside the community and in the community, might not know about all these assets. Are marketing them, making people aware of the value that they bring, making people aware of how they're different, how they're unique, makes them more attractive. So really, marketing is important to making sure that people are aware of what's available. One of the things that came out of this particular priority goal was aggressively marketing to millennials. Millennials are the 30-something, well, actually, the people born between 1980 and the mid-2000s. So they range in age from about 10 to 35 or so. But that population cohort is really looking for a lot of things that the city offers. And I think that was recognized during the conversations. So, for example, young professionals who actually, millennials, actually 61% of adult millennials have some college experience compared to, say, 47% of the baby boomers who came before them. So they're young, they're educated, and among the adult millennials, they're looking for walkable communities, they're looking for downtowns, they're looking to be close to a vibrant quality of life. And I think the city offers a lot of those. So marketing to millennials is one of the things that you talked about. Again, the details are in the report, but I'm just giving you an overview of some of the things that were suggested. Commissioner Roger Bunton is the champion for this one, and so he'll work with all of you and also with the department heads in terms of developing a branding campaign and sort of figuring out how this all falls into the budget process is part of what needs to be done. Another priority was the riverfront property, with the objective of developing the city's riverfront property to a tax-paying entity. Commissioner Denise Menser is the champion for this, and we recommend that you, it's a very, very important property. It's centrally located, it's got a great environmental asset on its doorsteps, and so looking at that is so important. It's critical to the future of this sort of downtown area and the broader downtown area. We recommend that, using the master plan process, which is going on as well now, making sure that they sync, and then being able to use some of those what you learn from there as part of the decision-making process. But ultimately, it's what you decide to do and what you come up with in terms of what's good for the community. Another priority was the mineral baths industry. The objective is really to evaluate the potential mineral bath resurgence. This has been an old industry. It's been around for many years, and it's certainly something that was part of the founding of the city. So how do we go back to using that? How do we leverage that industry? And so Commissioner Joe Rica is going to be looking at that with an ad hoc committee with a view to identifying if there is a potential economic development value from looking at the mineral baths industry. And so at the best, it would be something that could help the economy. At the least, it could really bring out some of the opportunities to connect with the healthcare industry that focus on well living and really sort of good health. So there are opportunities with all the healthcare facilities and healthcare institutions that are here. There are opportunities to really look at that. But certainly the opportunity is really the objective is to look at the economic development value, using the history again, but also using economic development. In terms of the historic downtown, the objective is to create a vibrant and diversified city center by attracting and maintaining viable commercial and residential development. Mayor Bob Dempsey is the champion, and it's really focused on sort of using that asset. Right now, it's going through some hardships. I believe about 35% of the properties are vacant, but that's also an opportunity. How can you fill them, and what do we want to fill them with? Looking at that and analyzing what would make the city the type of community you want it to be. How can we really leverage what the history, the people, how do you leverage the buildings, looking at sort of how to make that more of a central point for a lot of people. We talked about millennials earlier, but in fact, seniors or baby boomers even are interested in some of the similar things that millennials are interested in. So walkability, sort of downtown living is actually something that empty nesters would like to have as well. So it's a broader audience than maybe just the millennials. But looking at the opportunities to have more events in the downtown, working with the DDA to sort of do events that sort of reflect the city's history and diversity, all of these are opportunities. So, but ultimately the goal is to create a real vibrant city center that people will be attracted to, both residents but also broader audience, people coming from other communities, because you have a unique downtown. And lastly, the final priority was neighborhoods, and the objective being stable, safe neighborhoods that will maintain and attract a strong residential base. We talked earlier about the housing stock, the diversity, the affordability is another issue, that's opportunity that's here. How do we make sure that the neighborhoods are safe, and because safe neighborhoods are strong neighborhoods, and what needs to be done to keep that way? How do we leverage the fact that you do have very diverse tenure? 51% of the housing stock is owner-occupied compared to, say, 63% in the rest of the county. No, sorry, in the region. I think the county is much higher. But you've got the rental, and millennials, as an example, like rentals. So trying to make sure that you can target opportunities and appeal to different groups who are interested in living in a more diverse, mixed neighborhood. There are a lot of people who want that. And Commissioner Ron Campbell is the champion of this. And some of the recommendations we had were to target code enforcement to keep those neighborhoods safe, looking at a rental housing policy, but also sort of getting the neighborhoods neighbors involved through neighborhood watch, and sort of maybe challenges, have competitions to, I think you already mentioned earlier on some beautification. You really make the most of those and sort of have competitions between neighborhoods so that people sort of want to make theirs the best. So in terms of implementation and next steps, so each of the 5 priority goals identified a champion, action steps, performance measures, and also a time frame for each goal in terms of achieving, at least moving forward with each goal. And so they're in place. We've put them out there based on your comments. But hopefully we'll see some early successes, because that provides momentum to go forward and sort of, for example, with the baths, the historic baths, like setting up the ad hoc committee will be a good step, because you can see it happening and people are interested as you market that, move forward. Partners are vital. I mean, like every community, resources are limited, but, partnering with the county, with the DDA, or whoever the appropriate partners are for each of these makes a huge difference. And so, for most of these, a strategic plan, as we developed it, was really looking at a 2 to 5 year plan. It's sort of what's going to happen. We need to be able to make sure that things are happening. It's not a long-term plan like a master plan. So we want to make sure that those 5 areas that you focused on make sense and are moving forward. So we'd be happy to come back in 12 months to sort of see how things are going. We normally do that when we work with communities. So in conclusion, we believe that the Mount Clemens Strategic Plan reflects the priorities of the City Commission and provides a framework for addressing these priorities. The development of the plan was based with your input and your participation, but implementation is going to require a broader coalition, other partners, to be part of this implementation. We identified different commissioners and the mayor to be the champion of these. Your role isn't necessarily to do the work, it's to make sure that things are happening. So I think a lot of the implementation will happen at the administrative level. So, but making sure that, we report on these things on a regular basis to commission meetings makes it sort of stay fresh, and you know that things are happening. But you're the champions for it. You're the people who really are encouraging and making sure you're building the coalitions to make sure they happen. So, your role is critical. You are the people who are going to make things happen, but it's in partnership with other stakeholders. So that's the end of the presentation. We appreciate the opportunity to work with you. It was a very interesting experience, and I'm glad we got to do it, because it is a unique community. It's got its challenges, but that makes the opportunities sweeter. You can actually sort of see how you can move forward and take advantage of the many assets and just move forward as a community, see great improvements. And as the regional economy and the state economy improves, I think we're going to see some great things happening here too. So thank you for the opportunity to work with you.
I think anybody's going to want to refer back to anything in the presentation.
I think we have already put it in front of us, so thank you very much for the presentation. Commissioner Menser?
I think that the assistance that SEMCOG gave us, the structure presented that helped us define, the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities and threats was very helpful. Thanks to Commissioner Raker for recommending that SEMCOG come in. I found the exercise, not only a learning experience, but a clarifying experience for where the differences were in the commission and how, we looked at what was the priorities. So I think it was a wonderful opportunity and a great exercise, and I'm very happy with it.
Anyone else?
I just want to thank you both, too, for coming out those 2 evenings, being flexible with some of the questions that were at the last minute, and then rescheduling and coming out here again. Your facilitation, I think, was very important to this group. We don't see eye to eye on everything, but I think you came up with 5 priorities that are actionable over the next year, and we can demonstrate some type of forward movement one way or another, whether it's, an actual making something come to realization, or for whatever reason, this priority cannot be attained. And so therefore, we shift and move on and focus on the other priorities that can be attained. So I greatly appreciate your I would say leadership management of this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to give you an update on the one that I'm championing, we are having already July 15th downtown tour with the real estate people. We invited a number of real estate people, and this is in collaboration with the Macomb County Economic Development and the DDA. So we are moving forward, and everyone on this commission, if you'd like to volunteer to man one of the buildings, one of the office space or retail space, please let me know, because we can use the help, and we're going to showcase downtown Mount Clemens. So we're starting. Thank you.
Put me in, Coach.
Okay. All righty. We don't have to do anything, do we? Do we have to move? Yeah.
It's already been moved.
We already did the move and
Right,
support, so
so
now it's a
I-
matter of the roll call.
Roll call, please. I'm sorry.
Ricker,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Dempsey.
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Menzer.
Yes.
Okay, 9B, request approval for the sale of the vacant city lot, owned lot at 95 inches. I need a motion.
Move to authorize the sale of 95 inches to Mrs. Mary Ann Bullock for the amount of $1,000, and to authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign the necessary documents executing the sale.
Support.
City Administration is recommending that the City Commission authorize the sale of 95 inches to Mrs. Mary Ann Bullock for the amount of $1,000. Mrs. Bullock is the owner of the landlocked parcel adjacent to 95 inches.
Comments, questions?
One quick question. By chance, do you understand the history as to how that property became landlocked? Was it, how did this problem create itself?
There was interest on Mrs. Bullock's part to have that property, and she was going to maintain basically like a garden area that she has there. That's how it got started. I'm not sure exactly the details. Brian might have a better recollection of some of the details.
Well, in terms of how that parcel became landlocked, I don't have personal knowledge of it. Mrs. Stevenson has told me before what she believes may have happened, so.
Yeah, I have no, if the commission doesn't have a problem with it, I wouldn't mind hearing
The city
The chair.
landlocked the property.
The chair will recognize Mrs. Stevens.
You have to understand how the neighborhood was configured years ago before urban renewal. There used to be a street that went down through there all the way to the park area. That was part of a street. So that's how it became landlocked.
Vacated.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Menzer?
I have absolutely no objections at all to selling this to Mrs. Bullock, but I had one question, because at one point in this, we had a military veteran who was interested in purchasing the property, and I was hoping to hear that he purchased property elsewhere in the city and didn't just, leave.
The intent was that he was purchasing it for his mother, who lives at 93 inches. I don't believe it was going to be for him personally,
Okay.
but he has not expressed any interest at this point
Okay.
any further in this property.
Okay.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Campbell,
Yes.
Dempsey.
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Menzer.
Yes.
Ricker.
Yes.
9C, to adopt a resolution supporting the charitable gaming license for Martha T. Berry Foundation. I need a motion.
Move to adopt the resolution in support of a charitable gaming license for the Martha T. Berry Foundation, a Michigan nonprofit corporation.
Support.
The Martha T. Berry Foundation is conducting an event at their facility on September 10th, 2015, in order to help raise additional funds to help enhance the lives of residents of the Martha T. Berry Care Facility. The Martha T. Berry Foundation would like to apply for a raffle license to be able to have silent auctions and 50/50 raffles at their event. In order to do so, the foundation must apply for a charitable gaming license from the state. As part of the application process, state law requires that the local governmental subdivision in which the organization conducts its principal activities recognize it by resolution as a local civic organization. And just one more add-on, this was looked at and reviewed by City Attorney Michael Murray.
Questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Dempsey.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Menzer.
Yes.
Raker.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
9D, approve purchase and payments of invoices.
I move to approve purchases and payment of invoices as presented.
Support.
Any questions? Commissioner Menzer?
I was just wondering on R&S contracting for the Major Street Front traffic control, the striping. Is that $9,000 a 3-year agreement for $9K each year, or is that $3,000 each year with the $9K being the total
Well, that's a 3-year agreement with $9,000 each year.
at each year?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I have, thanks, Jeff. And then I have a question about, some of these funds are coming from the 2014-2015 budget, and I was wondering how long we can continue to access and use 14-15 funds.
Finance Director Marilyn DeLugia, I'll let her handle it.
Well, what happens is that when we do go out to bid like this and purchase, yes, it is purchased in the 14-15, but purchase orders are created, and so when you close down the actual 15 fiscal year and open up the 16, the purchase order portion that is left is actually carried over to the next year.
So the money was encumbered in the year that it...
That we're actually bidding it
okay.
out, yes.
And then I just had some concern, I'm looking at a high-tech, a 100-hour block of time for $8,500. And I'm wondering, was that put out the bid, and is this a contract? Because I don't see a contract coming before us.
Well, actually, the city does have a contract with High Tech, and our contract is for 6 hours per week. And the contract was approved last year for 5 years. And the $8,500 is to carry on for special projects that we have, for example, installing the new server. So some of the time was used towards that. Some of the time will be used for the installation of new computers that we have eventually, because the 6 hours a week will not cover the installation, dealing with issues that the various departments have. The 6 hours a week will not take care of all of the issues the city has, or in moving forward. For example, also too, when we upgraded the Exchange server, that took hours above and beyond the contract time. So that's why we purchase a block of hours. That way we're getting it at a lower price, and they can be used for several projects. And again, too, that is encumbered, and it'll be carried over into the next year also.
Okay. So that's basically a kind of like a time and material fund. Okay. And then I just wondered, for the new file server that we paid $11,000 for, did we ask the county to use their massive purchasing power to give us a price on that?
No, we didn't, because we did not have time to do that. Our server that we had was turning itself off whenever it felt like it. So then the whole city was basically down, and we had this as an ongoing problem, and it kept getting worse and worse, and before it completely crashed and we lost all of our data and information. And yes, I know we do backups and everything else like that, but they automatically switched the information over to our other Exchange server temporarily till we could purchase it, and we had it sent. We ordered it on Friday, and we had it on Monday, and it was installed on Tuesday.
Who actually supplied that file server? Because High Tech doesn't manufacture those. Do you know who?
HP.
HP. Okay.
Anyone else? Commissioner Raker?
When it comes to dealing with the county, when we talk about collaborations, what is the normal exchange for purchase of materials with the county's purchasing power? How long would that have taken you?
I don't know. We do work with the county in purchasing, other things when we have time, like we did purchase the other computers. So, we can go out to bid, but I don't know how long or how fast it would take their company, the county's company, to get back to us directly and purchasing the HP.
Well, in conversation with Commissioner Menzer, the difference was over $1,000, wasn't it, like, with the server?
We could have gotten, the county could have gotten the server a lot cheaper, and I work in the IT department, I do the purchase orders for the IT equipment, and generally, we can get those quotes the same day. So, my suggestion would be is that we take advantage of that collaboration, and the fact that they buy so much equipment. And I'll give you an example, we paid approximately $4,700 for the Dell Rugged Latitude laptop for the fire department. We just bought 8 of them for sheriff's patrol cars at less than $3,000 apiece.
And we did go out for that, and we did ask, and they did not supply that type of tough book that the fire department wanted. We did ask.
Okay.
If we have the time, we're going to try to reach out and see if we can do better in this particular situation. We were kind of faced with a dicey situation. We didn't know when things were going to shut down, and a one-day additional delay doesn't sound like much, but if it's shutting down people's access to computers, which is what it would have been doing.
In fact, the fire department was shut down over
guess.
the weekend. They had no access to
Right, it was just it was a judgment call to proceed in that fashion, and we decided that time was of the utmost urgency in that case, so we just moved forward. So,
If I can just wrap this up, if you would, please find out what the lag time is when dealing with the county, so that in the future,
Sure.
if those opportunities do present themselves, we know that, hey, it's going to be a long turnaround time, or it's a manageable turnaround time, and that's all I ask. Thank you.
sure.
I think that normally we do a pretty good job. Purchasing does do a pretty good job in checking all of the RFPs.
Teresa
and
actually
getting them out.
contacts the company direct.
Yes.
They don't go through the Macomb County.
So
We
I
actually
don't want anybody to
access
think
the
that we're not
county's,
doing a good job.
supplier.
Thanks, Marilyn. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Hill.
Yes.
Menzer.
Yes.
Raker.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Dempsey.
Yes. Okay, we have an add-on, 9E, request approval to enter into an agreement with the Michigan Department of Transportation for the pavement resurfacing of Market Street. I need a motion.
I move to adopt the resolution and approve the contract between the Michigan Department of Transportation and the City of Mount Clemens for the pavement resurfacing of Market Street. MDOT contract number 15-5199 as presented, and to authorize the city manager and the public services director to sign and enter into the agreement.
Support.
Enclosed for your review is the Surface Transportation Program contract, along with a municipal resolution for the pavement resurfacing of Market Street from northbound Gratiot to North Avenue. This is a contractual document between the Michigan Department of Transportation and the City of Mount Clemens, which outlines the performance of the project and the project costs. The total cost for the repair of Market Street is estimated at $341,000. Federal Surface Transportation funds shall be applied to 81.85% of the applicable project cost. The remaining balance will be funded by the city's Major Streets Fund. Please be advised that this contract has been reviewed by the city attorney. The attached resolution is necessary in order to specifically name the officials who are authorized to sign said contract.
Any questions, comments? Commissioner Menzer.
I haven't been able to look this over very clearly, but I'm trusting Mr. Murray has looked it over. I just had a question about, on page 3, in the middle of it, it talks about project costs, item number 5, and it says, the Part B portion of the project cost is not eligible for federal participation and shall be charged to and paid 100% by the requesting party in the manner and times herein. Can you tell me what that's about?
Part B is, which has no federal participation, is defined on page 1. And that is the decorative crosswalk work and audio and visual recording of the construction area. The federal funds will not, cannot be utilized for that portion. That's why it's set out separately, and that amounts to, on Exhibit 1, Part B is $26,700.
Okay.
Projected cost of that.
Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, roll call, please.
Menzer.
Yes.
Raker.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Dempsey?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Okay. Let's get over here. Consent agenda. Need a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Roll call.
Raker?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Dempsey?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Menzer?
Yes.
Okay. City manager.
A few items for this week's manager's report. Number one, the Festival Riverfront Concert / fireworks. First, I want to extend my thanks and appreciation to the many members of city staff that worked to make these events as smooth and successful as possible from our end. There was a lot of activity, administrative work done to assist, and city staff answered the bell and did a great work in association with these events. Secondly, I wanted to also thank the Macomb County Sheriff Department for the great work they did in association with these events as well. I have seen initial reporting on the number and severity of issues, and they were pretty limited. The reporting and my firsthand observations both reflect well on the efforts of the Sheriff's Department in this area. It's a tough situation when you bring many thousands of people downtown at one time, and there was not a lot of reports of real problems that were brought to the Macomb County Sheriff's Department, so I also appreciate that people behave themselves well in that setting. But when there were situations that came up, and I did witness one of them, if you blinked, you missed it. The Sheriff's Department was on top of issues that developed very quickly and managed to stop something that was starting from becoming bigger. So I appreciate the Sheriff's Department efforts, and I appreciate the department heads and everybody else at the city's efforts in trying to make all of these events as successful as we could from our end. Secondly, the F&V Operations and Resource Management Utilities Management Contract. The city and FVOP have started our contractual relationship for management of our utilities department. This is the second week starting today. It's very early in our implementation, but we look forward to a mutually beneficial relationship. I've had a lot of interactions with the management staff from FVOP who have been on site, and lots of good things are being worked out between the staff as well as FVOP representatives. And the other thing that I would make mention of is the plant is functioning at a very high level right now, in line with where we want it to be. So we're bringing FVOP in at a good time in terms of the plant operations being efficient and effective. So they have every opportunity to make that continue and to enhance it in the future. Thirdly, road work, Crocker and Market. The Crocker Street Mill and Cap project is largely complete. A final punch list will be generated this week, actually, with wrap-up of restoration and other work likely to be completed next week, and that's this week. The Market Street project, as you just voted on, had a pre-construction meeting scheduled for last week. That contract was brought before you tonight, and now that we have authorization of that contract, we anticipate timely implementation or initialization of the project by the contractor, and we look forward to another successful project to complement the work that we had on Crocker. The last item is the Clementine's newsletter. The July, August, September 2015 Clementine's newsletter will be distributed with the July 15th Journal newspaper. This reflects a one-week delay due to from the usual timing due to production delay at the city with vacations and things like that happening at this time of the year. It impacted that process, so we'll be 1 week behind on the July, August, September issue of Clementine's. And that is all I had on my report this week.
Any questions or comments? Commissioner Raker?
Yeah, I've got three. I had a resident approached me and inquired about the revival that's over on North River Road on a irregular yet regular it's there a couple times a year at least. Is there permits? I mean, they were doing like a kind of like a rummage sale this past weekend, and as you come into town, it was kind of a interesting sight to see. So they had inquired if there was any requirements as far as permitting, camping, there was a tent there, if there were any issues with that. Also, I'm a little disappointed that FVOP is not here on their first city commission meeting to be introduced. At $17,000 a month, they could have come to a city commission meeting and been introduced. And then the Magic Festival. Mother Nature wasn't very good to him, but I think it would be a good idea if the gentleman comes before council, or the commission I should say, and shares with us his experience. It was his first time doing this, and I know if I am on this commission next year, I would like to hear from him sooner rather than later. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, commissioner comments. Commissioner Menzer. In keeping with my habit, I'm going to tell you where I've been in the city in the last month, keeping in mind, of course, that there was the 4th of July holiday, and I was also gone up north for another week, a couple days, 2 weeks ago. So I've been to Madison's, I've been to John's Family Grill, I've been to Three Blind Mice, I've been to Bath City, both of those couple of times. I've been to Sea Burgers, and you might see a trend there. I do not cook at home very much. I encourage everybody to use our downtown businesses and restaurants. Be an ambassador for your city. It's easy to say bad things, but let's try and say a good thing once in a while. There was an article in the paper tonight for a reunion for Mount Clemens racers from the old Mount Clemens racetrack van. And they will be having a reunion for the track on November 7th at DeCarlo's in Warren. It's $30. There's some contact information. It is published in the paper. The Flat Rock Speedway will also host the Mount Clemens Racetrack night on July 25th. We've got a couple notable Mount Clemens racers who will be there. Stan Yee Jr. and Derek Shepard. Derek Shepard right now of Mount Clemens is in second place in the Enduro division for local racing. So I would encourage anybody who is a fan of the racetrack and went to the races to check into that. Like I said, it's in the paper, or you can contact me and I'll be happy to give you more information about it. And that's it for tonight. Thank you. Commissioner Raker.
I just want to thank SEMCOG again and colleagues for finally getting this done as far as setting some direction for the city. My first city commission meeting in November of 2011, I had mentioned the need for us to set some type of direction for the city. I think this is a good path forward. I don't think it's going to be difficult to execute, and I think that we can adjust accordingly when we find things that may not be able to be achieved, but that we can build on those priorities. And I think, like Nahid had said, to quickly build some momentum. So I ask that we don't let this sit on the shelf like many things end up doing in not just this city government, but all sorts of city governments. So if we could please move forward with a certain amount of gusto and try and achieve these priorities, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Commissioner Hill.
I hope everyone enjoyed the Independence Day celebrations and the wonderful weather over the weekend. I was thrilled to see American flags lining every house on South Wilson Street during my walks last week. It was great that the Macomb Daily recognized the effort with a short article and pictures in Friday's paper also. If you have not seen these flags, be sure to drive or walk by as they are still there. It's amazing. They go all around the yard, up the sidewalk, and small flags and big flags. So it's quite a thing. I think this was a great patriotic gesture as well as a wonderful demonstration of neighborhood spirit. I give a thumbs up to all the residents on South Wilson and to all the other Mount Clemens residents who displayed American flags and banners. Looked great. Oops. I went through my notes a little too fast. Working on the strategic plan with SEMCOG was an excellent exercise for the City Commission and city administrators, and I really appreciate the assistance that SEMCOG provided. Some of the goals may work out differently than anticipated, but they are all worth serious consideration. Some years ago, there was a book published titled, "If You Don't Know Where You're Going, You May End Up Someplace Else." And we often have vague ideas of things that should be happening, but if we never make these ideas specific, we will feel dissatisfied and frustrated. So I see this as the beginning of moving forward. I want to urge everyone again to shop locally as much as possible. By shopping local, you can help small businesses stay in business and improve the local economy. There are some very unique and interesting retailers in our downtown area, including Nevin's Jewelers, Tis Country, Champagne Chocolates, which is now selling ice cream as well as candy, and Max and Ollie's, just to name a few. There are also excellent restaurants. Don't forget the Farmers Market, which is downtown on Wednesdays and is the regular location on Fridays and Saturdays. There are also a number of businesses in other parts of town. On Cass Avenue, there are Stark's Hardware, Stark's Hardware, Kratz Florist, the Auto Parts Store, an aftermarket appliance store, and 2 restaurants. And don't forget Phoenix Stone on Floral. They sell all kinds of rocks and stone, as well as a number of different kinds of mulch. I was just in there the other day and purchased a large amount of mulch, which I've been placing on my flower beds. There are good things happening in Mount Clemens. Let's show our pride in the city.
Thank you. Commissioner Campbell.
I have 2 things with regards to the strategic plan. I am the champion of the neighborhoods, and it ties in directly with the city manager's report on the collection of garbage and what citizens are supposed to do. Unfortunately, garbage is collected in a certain part of the town on Monday, and there are people that are putting their trash out on Friday and Saturday. So who do they call over the weekend if there's nobody there? So that's one. The other is with regards to issuing tickets as a civil infraction. I think we need to act on that real fast so that we can eliminate that problem. Second, I would like to congratulate Mrs. Bullock on her property acquisition, and to Mrs. Stevenson and those at the city to bring about a happy conclusion finally to this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to just thank the Elger family. This past 4th of July, they had their seminal bike parade, which has been going on for over 30 years, and the Elger family has been doing it probably over 10 years. So I just want to thank them for continuing this tradition in Seminole Hills. It was a lot of fun. Thirdly, the strategic plan. I think that one of the things is it's not an individual plan. It's a team plan, as I see it. And that's why we have champions. Each one of us up here are championing a particular part of that strategic plan. So it's not up to just one person to make sure this happens. It's up to all of us to make sure that this continues. It's a team effort, and if we don't pull together as a team, you might as well keep that strategic plan on the shelf because it's not going to go anywhere. So I just want to encourage all of the commissioners up here to support one another in the different different subjects that we have that we're working on. Ask for help. Let's work together to get this done. We're all in it. We're in it together. This is our city, and if we don't work together, then, like I said, it'll collect dust. So thank you so much for leading us in the strategic plan. I do appreciate that. And with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Roll call.
Campbell.
Yes.
Dempsey.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Menzer.
Yes.
Raker.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.